Okay, some context in terms of the lens that I view the world from and some of my beliefs that add some context to why I believe these ideas and why I think these lessons are so valuable. So I'm 25 years old. Industry I work in sales. I moved into sales because I wanted control. I wanted more control over my life when it came to my income, my location. I'm someone who believes you can design your life and literally build your life exactly how you want. So that's kind of why I believe all these things and why these lessons are like so important to me. And again, I'm 25 years old, and I say that like I feel like my life has just started multiple times. Like I remember when I got my first sales job, I was like, damn, this is the start of my life. And then I moved to Manchester that first time. I was like, yes, life begins now. New city, new apartment. And then I moved back to London to go to the office more and experience that company more and try and push success in that realm. And I remember when I got back to London, I moved out of Manchester. I was like, yes, now life begins. I'm moving back to London. And another year and a half went by. I've just moved back to Manchester. And right now, more than ever, and obviously it will be more than ever, and it will be every single time I go into a new phase of my life, I will feel like life has just started for the first time. And it's a beautiful feeling. It's honestly a beautiful feeling. And lessons from a 25-year-old whose frontal lobe has fully developed. Who knows if that's true, but these are things I've learned so far. Number one, move out of your hometown. Now, I had this itch. I've grew up in South London. I've lived in London my whole life. But the start of 2022, when I was 23 years old, I left London. I moved to Manchester. I didn't know a soul in Manchester, but something happens when you leave your hometown. There's like a collective consciousness of the place you live, whether you know it or not, you are being influenced. And when you personally feel like you're going through a lot of changes, when you feel like you want a new life, you want to rebuild yourself, it's so much more exciting to do that when you can recreate yourself for the first time, meeting new people for the first time, being in a new environment. It was so freeing, so liberating. The second one, be the one who goes to, not the one to go to. Now, being so young, like early on in my career, in terms of like my corporate career and work experience and just life in general, being so young, there's always people that know more than me. And to me, it's like you build so much better relationships with the people above you in a sense, or people with more experience, when you make yourself known as the person who wants to ask questions, who wants to learn more, as opposed to trying to gather enough knowledge on the surface to appear like the go-to person. People love to help. People love to answer your questions. And the more you ask and like position yourself or make yourself known as that person that wants to go to learn, that is like put me in so many good situations. Third one, get in the best shape of your life. You are only young and attractive once. Now, I'm currently cutting. I'm getting in the best shape of my life at the moment. I'm working so hard in the gym every day. And I went through a period of my life just before I moved here, actually, like 6 months where I'm like occasionally going to the gym. I'm pushing myself maybe like once every 2 weeks. I come out of the gym. I'm like, damn, that was a good session. And it's just like unacceptable to be 25 and not be able to call yourself an athlete. I think every young person should be able to call themselves an athlete or have the title athlete alongside anything else you're doing. So right now I've like really put the focus back on getting in the best shape of my life. And I've realized like in terms of your health, there's no time to waste. Like I start looking 20, 30, 40 years in the future and like I want to be going skiing. I want to be able to do a pull-up. I want to go swimming. I want to go surfing. And getting in the best shape of your life in your 20s is the time to do it. Next one, go solo traveling. Now I've done a few like small trips here and there, like solo by myself. I've been to like Belgium, Antwerp, but in April, May this year, I went to Barcelona for a week by myself, and it changed my life. I'd never like fully just gone on a solo trip with no plan. I booked the flight in the morning. I didn't have an Airbnb. I booked it that night, and Barcelona's a crazy city. I had to book a new Airbnb every night, but just roaming around a new city, speaking to locals, going to a bar by yourself in the evening, having to like create that magic of a social interaction and a night out all by yourself is an amazing experience. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I want to do more of in the future. But solo traveling honestly makes you such a well-rounded person, speaking to people from all walks of life, and you meet so many cool people. And like being in a new city, you're on your own time. Like you can just explore whatever you want. Next one, life is measured in adventures, not years. And the reason I say this, like last year, I did loads of traveling. I did a trip with my dad. We went to South Africa. I went to Thailand with my friend. And I realized in that year, like time kind of slowed down because I was having so many new, novel experiences. And I've realized, like, in a monotonous kind of routine, like when I look back to times where I was going into the office every day when I was living in London, time just went by so fast because there's no adventure, there's no novelty, there's no newness in my daily routine. So adventures are really like the best way to staple times, and it just gives you so much more life experience. So next one, don't have too many influences. And I've kind of realized this recently as I start to understand myself better and kind of just get a lot more dialed in and serious about the direction I want to go in my life and the kind of successful people I look up to. I think it's important to have such a small number of people, influences. And when I say influences, I mean authors, content creators, podcast hosts. Like when I look back to times where I was just trying to consume as much books, as much podcasts, listen to as many YouTube videos from different successful people, my mind is just scattered. But now, like, I have a few people whose life setup is amazing and that I would love to emulate, and I kind of see their path and I think, yeah, that's something I want to build for myself in my own way. I think it's good to take advice from those people, not from everyone. There's unlimited successful people out there you could take advice from, but I think it's good to have your core few that you really like trust their principles. The next one. Success is found in your environment and your daily routine. And for me, this was so apparent when I moved out. I had control of my own space. My daily routine was a lot more up to me. There were no influences of who else is coming and going, what's in the fridge, just these tiny things when the environment is fully yours to control. Once that's built up consistently and you're really in your rhythm, like when you get in flow state and that flow state lasts like weeks and months and you just in a rhythm of life, that is to me where I've had the most gains in life and been the most like laser focused on what the mission is at the time. So to me, like crafting your environment and your daily routine to just make the things that you want to achieve, the things you want to accomplish, make them frictionless. The next one, be aggressive with the work and patient with the results. Now, I've moved to Manchester twice. So I moved to Manchester from London, moved back to London, moved back to Manchester. And that first time in Manchester, I remember a specific period, I changed jobs and I had a massive whiteboard in my apartment. I was writing out the numbers I wanted to achieve that quarter. And I didn't even care about the commission. Every day I woke up, I would smash the phone, speak to new clients, do whatever I needed to create new revenue. And when the results came, like I wasn't thinking about the results every day that I was getting frustrated. Like, oh, I'm putting all this work in right now. Like, where's the commission now? But I was so aggressive with my day to day effort on the task that I was being so patient and ready to receive the results when they were ready. And to me, that's like the happiest and most fulfilled I've been. And when I look to times where I've tried to take shortcuts, I've tried to take extra opportunities to try and make extra money now, when really my effort in the one thing that's bringing me the most income or most results in my life, my effort was lacking in that, and I'm trying to put in more effort to make money outside of that when I should just be so dialed in and aggressive with the daily work and the main thing that when I'm patient and the results come from that, I'm more grateful and more patient to receive the fruits. Let them. And this is about like opportunities, situations in your life where you feel like you are wanting it more than it wants you. Don't choose something that isn't choosing you. The next one, And this one is so important. And when this clicked for me in my brain, like I feel like the world opened up, is understand that you can and you must design your life. And I'm really starting to see this now because the situation I'm in right now, I literally designed every single part of it. I looked around Manchester, I looked which building is going to allow me to go to the gym most efficiently, which one's going to put me in the best location in the city. Even moving to Manchester in the first place, I thought, okay, London's not really giving me what I want. I can't see myself being successful here. I'm going to go to Manchester. Just little things like this, you can design every single part of your life, like the way you dress, the way you look, the kind of physique you want, the people you want to mix with. These are all things that you can design and you can create. Take life by the horns, and design it the way I want to. Don't over curate your ideas or your art. And what I mean by this, I remember this so specifically. So I was maybe like 5 to 10 years old. I was at my grandma's house. She was an artist. She's set out loads of paints for me, and I'm painting like a lion in the jungle, right? I paint the lion. I paint like a really nice backdrop of the jungle. And she said the art looks amazing. It's done. It's finished. And I wanted to just keep going. I wanted to keep painting over it. And I remember just regretting it because like the paper was soggy. There's too many colors. I'd taken it too far. Like the initial idea in its purest form is usually the best. Like even with video ideas or like writing out scripts for videos, the more I try to over edit and over curate what I want this idea to look like versus when I've kept it in its purest form. The next one, shorten the time between learning and implementing. And a perfect example of this is like lifting weights in the gym at the moment. Like right now, I'm on a cut, I'm in the gym every day, I'm lifting weights, I'm hitting cardio. And just little things like new exercises I want to implement. I watch a video and I train it that next day. Versus times when I've been like consuming loads of information about things I want to do, but it takes me months to actually implement and start doing it. I just get frustrated and I start resenting myself for holding all this information that I'm not even using. So reduce the time between learning and implementing. And this is showed up massively in my career where, again, going back to like being someone that asks questions and getting advice, if you receive advice from someone and you implement it right away, that is like the highest form of respect. That shows you're serious about your craft, about learning, about growing. So to me, that is so important. The next one, pick your industry wisely and think in decades. So my first job out of school, I never went to university. I was an apprentice for an architecture company, a construction company. I was an apprentice quantity surveyor, and I was there for a year and a half. And like looking back, the environment wasn't conducive to me making a load of money, growing as a person, having loads of new experiences. So after a year and a half, I looked around. I was like, long term, I don't want to follow in these people's footsteps. I watched the Brian Tracy video online and I was like, I want to do sales. And it was honestly the best decision in my life. And now I look back and I'm so grateful I had the foresight to kind of pick this industry because now I'm thinking in decades in terms of where I'm at now, working in tech sales. It just gives me everything I want to be doing in my life in terms of life setup. It gives me the location freedom. It gives me the high ceiling for income. It gives me the traveling opportunities. And sales is a craft. Like I've grown so much as a person since starting in sales. I've been, I went through that phase of my career where you're cold calling people all day long, getting told no. And it's very hardening. And I'm so happy I went through it. And I love the trajectory I'm on now in terms of my career. I'm still very early on in it. I work in tech sales. And yeah, I'm super happy and I'm super concrete on the industry I'm in. And I think it's so important if you kind of realize maybe I'm not in the right company, maybe I'm not in the right career, the sooner you get yourself on the market and move and start climbing a different mountain that's more aligned with what you want to do than to stay there for 3 or 4 years because you're worried about taking a step back. This is where I was. I was like, I'm not getting any younger now. If not now, when? Basically. So I thought, okay, great. I'm going to find myself a sales job, get into that industry and move away from construction. And it's been the best thing I ever did. be very conscious of your material possessions in your life. And I think as young, being like in your 20s, you're going to be living in a few different places. You're traveling a lot more. Your life isn't set in stone yet. You're still, experiencing different bits of the world. Where do I want to set up my life? And I think it's important to be light and travel light and not have all these possessions that you've just gathered over your whole life. So I think every like 6 months to a year, it's good to just take stock of like everything you own. I love like selling on Depop and Vinted and just like doing a wardrobe clear out every 6 to 12 months, because the clothes you wear, the things you own, it's good to detach yourselves from them. So every like 6 months to a year, like I say, I think it's good to just purge a lot of the possessions you have that no longer serve your purpose or what you're trying to achieve at the moment, and then bring in some new things that are a lot more aligned. Talking about clothes, watches, furniture, anything. Like when I was moving up my parents' house, I was thinking, I want to take as little as possible. So when I get into my new place, I can kind of build up new things, new clothes, new items around who I am now. Next one, have a craft outside of making money and developing yourself. And even though it is outside of money and like a kind of personal development activity, being in flow state, doing like a hobby, playing a sport, for me, that's like when I'm with my thoughts the most. It's like a meditation. Like for me right now, it's tennis. I love tennis. I had lessons as a kid, but I picked it back up this summer, and I love it. I love it. It's just perfecting a craft. It's just like repetition, and you want to get better every time. And it's just, you're outdoors. It gives you that sense of competition. Playing an instrument is another great example. It's something I want to do down the line. But yeah, I think it's so important to have some sort of hobby, some sort of craft that is a bit more creative and a bit more freeing than, making money and putting projects out there. The next one is use your voice. And the reason I moved into sales and why I was so excited to leave the world of construction and move into sales, because I knew that selling is using your voice, learning how to articulate your ideas, learning how to deal with different personality types and different characters. And not only in a sales sense, being able to speak in public is such a rare skill, and so many people are scared to do it. And in the company I work out now, there's a few opportunities for me to get on stage at some conferences, and it kind of, that's hopefully opens up more opportunities for me down the line. And it's scary, it's nervous, but when I look back to the times that I just said yes, and then I got to the moment, like when I was doing the apprenticeship, I spoke in front of like 100 school kids, and it's so scary, but when you learn to use your voice, project your voice, get what's in your brain out into the world in a clear, concise, interesting, engaging way, to me, your voice is your biggest skill. And when I look at some of the most like charismatic people that I love to watch and I listen to their ideas, it's from their voice. The next one, when ideas come to you, write them down. And recently I've had the urge to pick up the camera and really get consistent. I've had so many ideas, and I don't want to let a single one slip out the cracks, especially when they're good and you feel inspired and you're high on life. Do not let any of those good ideas coming to you at the time slip away from you, because you will forget them, and you'll be so. I was so frustrated myself at times when I was so ready to, again, pick up a camera and film, and I just didn't. So now when inspiration strikes, I make sure to write it down. The next one is romanticize your life, and don't forget that, this is the human experience. This is your life. It's what you make it. We're here to have fun and feel all these different emotions and go through like these crazy experiences. And when you do, I think it's good to just sit and ponder and just appreciate like these crazy things. Like life is absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think it's important not to forget to like just have fun and romanticize. Like especially right now, I feel like I'm kind of embarking on a new journey, like putting myself out there to the world. So yeah, I'm having fun with it, and I think that's something I always want to do. The next one is dress well. And most importantly, just be presentable whenever you leave the house. You don't know who you're going to meet. People judge you based on how you look. We all do it. So why would you not want to present yourself in a way that you feel makes you the most confident? So yeah, that's kind of what I learned. And especially as I want to get older, my favorite way to dress is just classic masculine gentleman style. And I think it's just such a good way to dress. It makes you as attractive to such a wide range of people, and people take you seriously when you take yourself seriously. So yeah, dress well, be groomed, look after yourself, and the world will treat you accordingly. The next one is have competition. And I think this is why I have just been drawn to tennis so much recently. It gives me this thing outside of sales. Yes, I have competition there. You know, there's other people within the business who my revenue is benchmarked against, but even within sales, I just see it as I'm running my own personal business. It's just me versus me. How much money do I want to make? How much revenue do I want to make? That's the way I see sales competition. But tennis, it's like I'm standing across from another human who is trying to beat me. And I've done a bit of Muay Thai in the past as well, a bit of Jiu-Jitsu. And that is like the rawest form of competition. And it just makes you feel alive, knowing that someone else in the same like physical space as you is trying to get a one up on you. That just lights me up. And yeah, I think it's a great thing to have in your life occasionally to compete. The next one. The next one is be able to put down all your projects and the things that make up you on paper at one time and really just know everything you're focused on. So for me, it's my job in tech sales, it's my men's fashion Instagram, and it's my YouTube channel, and also getting in the best shape of my life. Like to me, these four things make up my focus, my mission right now. So any action or any task that I'm doing, I'm putting it into one of these four things. And when I look back, when I'm trying to start too many different projects, my focus is just split. So I think being able to define everything that makes up the things you're working towards at any given time is so important. The next one. Don't let other people's success, other people's movement on the map make you judge your own timeline. And I think this is, like, I experience this all the time. Like, you see a Mike Thurston vlog, you see an Iman Gadzhi vlog. These people aren't too far away from me in age, but they wake up in totally different parts of the world. They're traveling a lot, and it's easy to look at them and be like, damn, why aren't I there at that age? And I think I've realized recently just not to long for a life that isn't mine. Like, my timing and my journey is so much more exciting and interesting to me that I don't see the point in indulging in someone else's journey and be like, damn, how are you there? How are you doing this? When, again, they've gone through so many different things than me. Good for them. Do you know what I mean? I'm where I am in my journey, and that's a very peaceful thought to have, just to know that you're going to create your own version of whatever that is when the time comes. The next one, being alone does not mean being lonely. And I've lived by myself for over a year now in two different apartments, both in Manchester, away from London. The first time, I remember when I first moved, the loneliness was there. I didn't know anyone in the new city. But when you start to make friends, you settle in, and you get a lot more comfortable in your routine. You start to realize just the peace of being alone. You get to know yourself so much better. And even traveling solo, like going alone does not mean you are lonely or you have to feel this negative connotation around being alone and doing things alone. The next thing is create things on the internet. And this is something I have had in my brain for years. I remember watching a YouTube video, Kelly Stamps, and she made a video like how to blow up on YouTube. And it was like 3-4 years ago. And I kick myself now for not picking up a camera then. But again, it is what it is. I'm super happy to be doing this now and sharing my ideas now. But creating things on the internet is where all the people you find inspiring, all the people I find inspiring, creative, entertaining, the reason I know about them is because they've put their things out there on the internet, whether that's content, whether it's a blog post, whether that's a book, everything. And I thought about, where do I get my best ideas from in terms of when I am looking at other people's content? It's on the internet. And I had this thing in my head like, oh, I want to be mysterious, I don't want to put myself out there. But I look at the people that have built amazing lives for themselves. I don't look at them in a lens like, oh, that's cringy, or why are you putting it on the internet? I had this thought that these people are successful because we see them. Like, obviously we see them because they're successful, they want to share their life on the internet, but the fact that we are seeing them, that our content is coming up in front of us, means they are successful. The fact their content has gotten out there to reach people like me. So that's something I intend to do the same, and why I've been, taking my ambitions, my goals a lot more seriously, and just putting them into action a lot sooner, because the internet is where things exist. It's where things can grow and reach new people, to new opportunities. So I think creating things on the internet and putting yourself out there is something I definitely wish I did sooner. So the next one is, time is finite, but money is not. And I think it was Naval Ravikant, but I heard somewhere that a lot of people think it's the other way around. They think time is, infinite, and money is not. And I used to hold on to money so tightly, and now I use my money to give myself a better life. It's why I moved out here. I pay rent. I don't own my place. I don't want to own a place or get a mortgage. To me, renting is the perfect situation for me to be in, because it gives me a base. It allows me to live in a place that is inspiring to me, that makes me feel excited about life. And it gives me that freedom to leave at any time. But also, when I was living at home and I wasn't paying rent, I was kind of just convincing myself like, oh yeah, I'm at home, I'm saving more money. But I knew deep down that I'm missing out on a lot of the experiences I want to have just by paying rent, having my own space, doing everything myself, and being fully self-sufficient, and just having that personal responsibility. To me, paying rent is priceless right now, at this stage I'm at in my life. And I'm using that money to give myself a better life setup. And the final one is, life setup is more important than income. And this took me a while to learn as well, because when I first started in my career, I was going to the office 5 days a week in central London, hour commute each way, at least that. And I was convincing myself this is what I need to do to get to where I want to go. And as I start to understand that, wow, okay, I can design my life, I can pick an industry, I can pick a career that's going to allow me to do what I want, the income is going to follow. And that's why I chose my industry in tech sales. But in terms of life setup, having the freedom to work fully remotely, live in this building, go to the gym on my lunch breaks, go work remotely in Europe, like, to me, those things are so much important than maybe earning a bit more on my salary by going into an office every day. I can build up my future life and build up more income, and be more inspired and be more aligned with the life I want to create and the life I want to live right now. Because I think there's this constant tension between the life you have now and the life you want to live. And I think creating your life set up in a way where you're fulfilled now, you're still getting all these adventures, but deep down, it's the time where I'm building my future life. And I suppose I always will be, and when I say life, I mean literally the life you are living right now, like this second. Life is happening right now, all the time. So I think creating a life setup that you are inspired about, while also not wishing it away to try build something for the future. Don't know if I articulated that right. Okay, that was the longest I've ever spoken to the camera, uncut, and it was good. I feel like I've never gone to those depths before of being able to articulate my ideas. But look at this place. Honestly, it's beautiful. This is one of the suites in my building, so I can just book this out anytime, come here, work, have a little gathering, a little social occasion. Yeah, this place is beautiful. We just finished filming.